Welcome, everyone, to Intensity Broadcasting for coverage of the SCSRA All-Star Super Truck Showdown. Tonight, these Super Trucks will be taking on Michigan International Speedway first for our 15-lap shootout, and then after that, we will have our 40-lap main event to decide who is this season's All-Star. Right now, drivers are practicing, figuring out how these super trucks are going to perform here tonight at Michigan, figuring out strategy and figuring out how all of this is going to work. And I'm going to be your announcer for all of the All-Star action, Atlee, Atman, Elise, but joining me tonight to help call the shootout and to help provide a little analyst point of view at everything that is going on track is the Season 2 Xfinity Series champion, Cody Moore. Cody, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great, Atlee. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to sit in this with you. Here's some great trucks, and I think the racing is going to be pretty wild here.
Yeah, I know you're very, very familiar with these super trucks because you were the founder of the virtual super truck series that ran after Wednesday night Xfinity. So can you kind of explain to the viewers how these trucks are going to work on such a big track like Michigan tonight?
You'll see some 6, 7, maybe even 8 wide. They do take the infield. They stay on the track. They're about as fast through the infield as they are on the track. The draft's really wild here. The trucks, they can get about 15 miles an hour faster in the draft. So it's really, I'd be surprised if we have a truck lead a lap start to finish.
Now there's a lot at stake. Two drivers will advance to the final All-Star race, and the rest of the drivers will be packing their bags, and they will not get a chance at the $15 that will be awarded to the All-Star race winner. Now, I believe that there is a prize for the first driver that is out. Yep, let's see. So I want to give a shout out to Brian Merle Jr. He put up $10 for third place in the Open, and you don't transfer. So whoever finishes third tonight will leave with $10. Now, that isn't as cool as having the title of winning the All-Star race and, of course, the $15. But, I mean, that might be a little bit of consolation.
Yeah, $15. We're gonna have to double that. I'll put up $15, so it's 30. So there's more incentive.
Well, there you go. So looks like $30 are now going to the winner of the All-Star race. 10 to the third driver or first driver that doesn't transfer here in the shootout. So this should be fun right now. Joe Wright is on the top of the board. Looks like everybody is currently in the pits. We are getting set to begin qualifying. Drivers will get 2 laps to try to set their best possible lap time, and that will determine where they will start in the feature.
Yeah, so it looks like we have what, 8, 9 drivers starting tonight?
Yeah, there's 9 drivers registered to, actually, looks like it is only 7 because we have 2 other drivers in the session, you and Devin, which both of y'all are going to be running in the actual All-Star race.
Yeah, Devin's going to be coaching him up tonight, so that's probably why he's in there. He really is passionate about his Team Neon and really wants Junior and Shapu there to do really well. That's going to be another thing, too, to keep an eye on is whether any of the teams, probably just Intensity, can... Actually, there's Josh and Joe, too. Maybe they can join up. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the team aspect enters into this race. I imagine it will.
Now, looks like qualifying is underway. I'm actually currently having some issues with my SDK right now. So I'm going to get that fixed here in just a second. We're going to have the Marco's Pizza Wreckage Rewind screen on track right now. We may have to use that some tonight with the 7, 8 wide action.
Well, hey, Mark Shavers has got to sell pizza, so anytime he can get this on the screen, he's happy. He's a happy man.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're considering getting some pizza, definitely pick up some Marco's. They do a fantastic job with their pizza. I eat it frequently, especially when I'm traveling. Always a great opportunity to get some Marco's pizza. So again, if you're looking to get some pizza, Marco's is the way to go. But qualifying is underway. Right now we got Josh Hall on track in the 81 John Deere machine. We're going to see a lot of drivers running paint schemes that they don't normally run because super trucks are not part of the two broadcasted series for the SCSRA. So we got Joe Wright. He is on track running the Hooters machine. Looks like, so we've got 3 teammates for 2 different teams. Chaput, we see Chaput, Brian Merle Jr., and Brett Merle are all 3 in the open there with Neon, and then Joe, Dave, and Josh are all with Intensity. They are currently also in the session. We see Michael, we see Cheeseburger's the only driver really without a teammate. He's going to just be looking to try to work with absolutely anyone.
It's going to be a rough night.
Oh, yeah. We see Brian Merle Jr. to the top of the board with a 56.60. That's 400ths faster than second place Brett Merle. Then third, it's Cheeseburger, who is 500ths behind first place Brian Merle Jr. We see Joe Wright about a second off of your leader, Brian Merle Jr., on his first lap, hoping to pick up the pace on lap number 2. He might have been trying to run the high line on the first lap strategy because that high line is the longest way around the track, and that gives Joe the longest amount of opportunities to build up enough speed for lap number 2. So I think we're about to see lap number 2 as the money lap for that 82 machine as he crosses the line. Top of the board for Joe Wright, 56.03. That will put him more than a tenth over second place Brian Merle Jr. Third is Brian's brother Brett, who ran a 56.18 and was only about 100th off of Brian.
Yeah, I'll tell you, qualifying is probably some good practice laps, but I wouldn't put any faith in where you start. I bet you in a half lap you're going to be in the back. If you start in the front, it's going to be wild.
Absolutely, and as always, for those of you who know how like super speedway type racing works, a lot of times the driver in the back to pack is going to be the fastest because the more cars in front of you, the more speed you're going to have with that draft. So, I mean, starting in the back may not be a bad place to be. Right now, the bottom 2 in qualifying is Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence and Derek Chaput.
Yeah, mentioning about the draft there, the other interesting thing about these trucks as compared to other restrictor plate races is that they don't have rear spoilers, so there's no or front spoiler, or I'm sorry, front splitters at all, so they can really catch each other and not be affected by the other trucks, unlike in restrictor plate racing.
Now, we do have some people in the chat, and we want to shout out. Eddie Moore says, on my way home, fellers, make this one last a while. I mean, we'll see. You better hurry, Eddie.
We'll wait for Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, he is one of the drivers that is eligible to run in the actual All-Star race. I believe he got a truck win, so that is how it was eligible. I do want to go over the drivers that are currently locked in. That's Devin Buccino, Will Witt, Colin Willems, Stephen Black, Jeffrey Belk, Todd Mays, Eddie Morris, Brian Nudie, Zachary Cox, Logan Hagerman, Blake Hensley, Nicholas Trader, Cody Moore, Cameron Austin, who was last season's champion, and then Brandon White, who won the last All-Star race. So, and then, of course, the 2 drivers from the Open that we are about to see take place right about now. Here's a look at the starting lineup. Ignore 8th and 9th. Both of them are not participating. Starting on the pole with a 56.033. It's Intensity Broadcasting Zone. Joe Wright in the 82. Second place, we have the 84 of Dave Wright. Then in third place, it's Neon Racing's Brian Merle Jr. in the 74. Fourth place is his Neon Racing teammate and brother, Brett Merle, in the 11. And then rounding out your top 5, we have Intensity Broadcasting announcer Josh Hall in the 81. Sixth place, it is Neon Racing's Derek Chaput in the 37. Seventh place is Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence. And then, again, 8th and 9th are not participating.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see if Josh and Joe can hook up here. That'll be something to keep an eye on here. And then, like we talked about earlier, the teams with Neon Racing. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so I think Joe is going to, on the start, he's going to try to make room for his brother Dave to get behind him. It's always, well, actually, the first 2 rows are 2 sets of brothers. That is something that I don't think we've ever seen before.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm going to enjoy this. I just want to do a quick note, too, Atlee, that these are four-wheel drive trucks, and they have between 700 and 900 horsepower. So they're not lacking on power tonight.
Wow, yeah, these are some powerful beasts right here. Now, for those of you who don't know, these trucks are typically known for racing on dirt road courses and on like Baja and stuff, but we're putting these super trucks to the test on asphalt ovals, especially the 2-mile Michigan International Speedway oval. Definitely not what I know you viewers are used to seeing these super trucks run on.
Yeah, this should be a good preview for later tonight, too. With this 7-card field here, I imagine hopefully we have more later.
We see Devin Butchino says, all right, let's go neon some beautiful schemes. Yeah, if you look, we see Brian Merle Jr., Brett Merle Jr., and Derek Chaput all running special paint schemes, each of them with their wonderful faces on them. There we see Derek Chaput's, Brett Merle's, and Brian Merle Jr.'s, and I'm sure Devin's looks very, very similar. I mean, they're interesting. They're very, very unique. They pop out on the track. But interesting paint schemes for the Neon Racing squad. Logan Hagerman says, what an ugly-looking truck. Derek Chaput for the win. Derek, he's going to be starting in the back portion of the field, looking to try to work his way up. Just got to work with those teammates. That's going to be the key. And then Kevin Kinder says, pulling for Mr. Hall. He's the only one that I know, LOL. Well, that is a good choice. Josh Hall, one of the best super speedway racers I know, and this is a lot like super speedway racing, so I think he will thrive here in these super trucks, looking to be one of the top 2 at the end of the race. So here we go. 15 laps, 7 drivers, only 2 will advance to the All-Star race. Third place will go home with $10. Pace car making that hard left turn onto pit road. And green flag is out here at Michigan International Speedway. There we see Joe Wright taking off, and now it's side by side between Brian Merle Jr., Dave Wright on the front stretch. Can Brian get clear? He does. And now we're going to see everybody try to start hooking up with each other. We see right now on the bottom, Brian running right behind Joe. And Dave, he was just left out to dry. The floodgates open for him. We do see Derek Chaput going up to the high side, trying to pick him up. There goes Brian Merle Jr. and Brett Merle both going up to the high side. And now Josh Hall is drafting with his teammate Joe Wright as we head into turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, you really want to keep an eye on the trucks in back because they're the ones coming.
We did see Brian Merle Jr. get Brett a little bit, or excuse me, Brett got Brian a little bit loose. That is going to be confusing all race long. But I do think that so far what I've seen in practice, what I've seen in qualifying, these super trucks are decently stable, and it really takes a lot to get them loose.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to spin them out. So they take contact really well. Something the drivers are going to have to keep an eye on tonight, though, is you don't have a fast repair, and these things have damage on them.
We were 3 wide right there. That was the racing that we had kind of come to expect here in this open between Brett, Brian, and Joe. Now it's just side by side between Brian and Joe. And Joe's own brother, Dave, is helping give Brian a push here on the backstretch. I know Dave is just trying all he can to get down to the bottom and begin working together with his Intensity Broadcasting teammates. And I know Derek Chaput is trying to get up there to his Neon Racing teammates, and poor Cheeseburger, he doesn't really have anybody to work with, and so he's just trying his best to keep up. We see somebody utilizing that grass. That is Derek Chaput. Big run.
You can get a big run down here, but you have to watch rejoining.
And we were 3 wide there. He was able to get under Josh Hall. Oh, a little bit of contact forcing Derek down onto the apron. But still, we are 3 wide between Brett, Josh, and Derek. This is for the 3rd place spot. Big run on the high side. Josh Hall giving them some help. And looks like Brian Merle Jr. will take the lead now. He was clear, trying to get his brother Brett to go down with him. Looks like they were not able to.
Yeah, the 11 hesitated there. He should have taken it.
Yep, sometimes that's the thing, hesitation. I mean, everything happens so fast that if you hesitate just a little bit, the opportunity may go away, and that's what happened. We see Joe and Derek once again both going down into the grass, but again, they need to be careful rejoining. We see Josh gives Joe some room to rejoin back onto the track, and we see finally Joe, Josh, and Dave are almost, there we go, they're all 3 able to get with each other. If Josh goes up there to the high side, that is. Yes, he does go up there. Oh, nope, no he doesn't. He is staying in line with the Neon Racing drivers, so that is just going to leave Joe, Dave, and Cheeseburger to work together with each other. So we're going to right now 1, 2, 3, 4 single file with the top 4, but it's 3 teammates against 1 driver who was without his teammates. So I think Neon Racing is going to try to kick Josh Hall out of this little drafting train.
Yeah, keep an eye on the rights back here. They're gathered up too.
We see last time, this time by, Brian Merle Jr. just ran the fastest lap time of the race with a 54.98. The one thing I am wondering is whether or not fuel will be a factor. I know these trucks are used to running like 10-lap races, and I don't know how big the tank is.
Yeah, that might be a concern. They might need to do a slowdown at the halfway point here to take some fuel.
So, yep, that's one thing we got to be keeping in mind. When will everybody come in? I know all the different teams, Neon Racing, Intensity Racing, they're all kind of discussing what is going to be the plan for pit stops. We'll see.
Oh, that's a great point, Allie. They might not do a slowdown. This is a modified virtual super truck challenge rules, so we'll see what they do here.
So right now we are single file. I think a lot of the drivers are just kind of trying to save their trucks for the end, and also just trying to figure out what the heck they're going to do for this fuel strategy. We see Josh Hall looking low under Brett Myrtle. He has help from Derek Chaput and Dave Wright. Joe goes up there to the high side to help Brett and Brian.
Winding it up there is just not worth it in these. They're so aero dependent that you're really at top speed on the bottom there, and that's the shortest way around.
We see Josh Hall goes up there to the high side. Derek, Dave, and Brian all there on the bottom now. Josh Hall was able to get behind his teammate Dave as we head here through 3 and 4.
That was surprising that they went high there and gave up the lead. I would have thought they would wanted to stay up there.
Yeah, I know. Like you said, it's kind of hard up there to get a good run. So, yeah, I would have thought they would just kind of stay single file until the pit strategy began. But, I mean, it did help. Or no, it didn't. Everybody who went up there to the high side has now fallen to the back portion of the field, and your top 3 were all people that eventually ended up, or were on the bottom. So Derek Chaput right now leads the field. He's got about a 6/10 lead over second place Dave Wright, who is currently drafting with teammate Josh Hall. We have less than 10 laps to go here, and fuel strategy continues to play a factor. And again, we're waiting to see when will everybody come in.
Yeah, and Chappie's really, I would imagine he's a sitting duck here. Another thing to keep an eye on here is last lap, he went through the infield here and got a really good run because he was able to rejoin without having to check up for cars on the track.
And looks like he's going to try to do that again to continue to extend that lead. Josh Hall also went down into the infield as well. And yep, that worked. Derek now has an almost 1 second lead. Oh no! We saw a big checkup for Josh Hall, and Dave ended up running right into the back of him. That is going to slow both of them down and allow Brian and Brett to catch up. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Let me watch the replay with Josh Hall here. So here we go. We see them in turns 1 and 2. It actually looked like Dave Wright. He was the one that checked up. And Josh Hall had just nowhere to go.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Chappie's able to put it out to a lead here. Devin Pacino's got to be real proud right now of his little boy Chappie.
Yep, he's got now a 2-second lead over second place Dave Wright. The field is not able to catch up to him, and if he continues to run that infield, he will just be able to continue to extend that lead because, again, he does not have to worry about watching out for people as he rejoins.
I can't imagine they have the gas to make it all the way here.
No, because, again, I mean, these trucks are used to running. I know in officials, they run like 10-lap races, so I don't think the fuel tank will allow them to go long enough on a run. I think they will need to come in. The question is just, when.
You would think it would have to be soon here because, these things are getting gallons to the mile, and they only have 14-gallon tanks, so it can go pretty quick.
Right, and you don't really want to wait till the last second to come in because then you'll be sacrificing a ton of track position, and the people who pitted earlier than you will be able to get by you and, of course, secure the win. So I think, now is about the time I think we may start to see some people come in. We see Derek goes to the high side, and that'll give a huge run to the bottom. Here comes Dave Wright, Brian Merle Jr., Brett Merle, this big train. But looks like Chappie was able to stay ahead. He is extending that lead. So, that's crazy. That is a pack of 6 cars versus one single driver, and that driver's, looks like they are able to get by him. Dave Wright. And look at this, Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence taking it to the outside, side by side to the lead. He gets a good run, takes it down into the infield. Look at that In-N-Out burger machine flies through the infield. Great move going out there to the high side and taking advantage of a run.
Was Chappie saving fuel? I don't understand. It seemed like he checked up.
Yeah, he had a 2 to 3 second lead, and he went to the high side and just let everybody by him. So, that might be what he was doing. I'm not sure.
They could be lined up to save fuel, too. I don't know. This is interesting.
Yeah, it's always fun to see fuel strategy play a factor. This should be an exciting finish. I think you're going to see some drivers, run out of fuel at the line. I think this should make for an interesting finish. Right now, I think we're just going to see, though, a lot of single file racing. Michael Lawrence has a 8/10 lead over second place. Dave Wright, I think, and another thing is just everybody's just trying to save their trucks for the end of the race, and just we're seeing a little bit more give and take, but I think with around 3 to go, the action is really going to start ramping up here.
I would not have taken this group for being conservative, but yeah, they've done a great job. I agree. It's going to get more intense here if they have the fuel to make it to the end.
Looks like we're side by side between Chappie and Josh Hall. Looks like Chappie was able to get by him, and he is now to the 5th place spot. Josh and Joe go up to the high side. Now, we know that high side, they might be able to make it work, but it's 2 trucks against 5 other trucks. I'm not sure. Looks like they were able to get by all 3 Neon cars. And now they're got to try to get by their other teammate, Dave and Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence. We see Dave and Cheeseburger both going down into the infield. They just got to be careful rejoining. We see Chappie also down there. Oh, and so looks like with them, that was not a good move going down to the infield because that'll give the lead now to Josh Hall. Oh, we see Cheeseburger, though, fighting back on the bottom. We are 3 wide with 3 laps to go. We see Joe, and that looks like, I believe, Brett Merle on the high side. Right now, Joe and Brett actually have the nose running all the way up against the wall. Oh, contact! We see Derek Chappie into the grass. Looks like that was Josh Hall, Brian Merle Jr., and Chappie with that contact. We see Josh giving Derek a little bit of a bump there. 2 laps to go now. We see Cheeseburger Dave going into the infield. side by side. Looks like going to the infield was not a good decision because this will give the lead now back to Joe Wright, who is getting a push from Brett Merle. We see Brett takes it to the outside, so now Cheeseburger and Joe are hooked up with each other. All three Neon cars are lined up in the outside, and then we have all three Intensity drivers and Cheeseburger.
I wouldn't want to be Cheeseburger.
We see Cheeseburger taking it all the way down on the apron, making it 3 wide. Dave follows right behind him. It is about to be 1 lap to go. Who will advance to the All-Star race? 3 wide. We see Dave Cheeseburger taking it into the infield. Are they going to be able to rejoin?
4 wide.
Oh my gosh, 4 wide as we head here through 1 and 2. Brett Merle right now with the lead. Contact between Cheeseburger and Brett Merle. Joe drafting right with Brett Merle as we head off of turn number 2. 1-2 is currently Brett Merle, Joe Wright. These two have been drafting for a lot of tonight's event. We see Cheeseburger getting lifted up into the air. Josh Hall, Brian Merle Jr. doing a last resort, going up to the high side, trying to get a good enough run. Joe runs Josh up the track. Here comes Brian Merle Jr. going below them, and it's Brett and Brian 1-2 as we go to the front stretch. Contact, Joe and Brian. That'll slow Joe down, and as we cross the start-finish line, can anybody get a good run on the infield? Looks like Joe was able to get by Brian Merle Jr. He will get the 2nd place spot. Brett will get the 1st place spot. So Brett Merle, Joe Wright, 1-2. They will advance to the All-Star shootout, or the All-Star race. The rest will be packing their bags. I will say Brian Merle Jr., who put up the money, will be getting his $10 back since he did finish 3rd. But that was a fantastic finish. I didn't stop talking. There was just constant action. I mean, what was your take there, Cody?
It was crazy. That's what I was more expecting the entire race. But yeah, it seemed like they were a little conservative there. But yeah, if you're into this action, we've actually been talking to Intensity Broadcasting to get season 2 of Virtual Super Truck Series up, and we'll see if we can make that happen, because that series, there's a lot of racing just like that every week.
Absolutely. So I mean, if you want more of that racing in like a broadcasted league, then let us know in the chat and we can see what we can do to make it possible for you all. Because I mean, that was fantastic racing right there. We see Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence, and on Facebook he says 0.5 a gallon left. So those drivers were extremely low on fuel. All of them barely made it.
That's awesome.
Now, I think we're going to pull in your top 2 here, Brett Merle and Joe Wright, if they want to do interviews. Yeah, we'll do that.
We don't have live pictures of Pacino tearing up?
I know. He taught Brett proud. I know he's a proud team owner.
Proud.
Yeah, he's a proud team owner right now. They grew up so fast, I'm sure he's saying. But let's see. Let's get in your. We'll just do the winner, since the actual All-Star race will be beginning in just a little bit. We'll pull in Brett Merle. So let me move him to the waiting room here. Brett, this is Cody and Atlee in the broadcast room. Do you have a copy?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on winning the Open. You just punched your ticket to the All-Star race. I mean, that was an absolutely fantastic final 2 laps. I know there was a lot going on. I mean, just walk us through what all happened there in those last few laps.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with saying early in the race we all realized that we had to save fuel or pit, so we all slowed down about 15 miles an hour and saved. And actually on that last lap through the grass there, when Junior was pushing me, I ran out of fuel right in front of him, and that was enough just for him to get 3rd and Joe to get 2nd. I slowed him up just enough, which sucks.
Yeah, so I mean, do you think you've got a chance to win the All-Star race here?
I don't know. That's only my 2nd time running these trucks on a asphalt track. Before I did it last week, I think, in a fun run. But They're fun. I don't know. It just depends on how many laps it is, and we're going to be able to save the fuel. I haven't even looked at what the format is.
Do you think you learned anything in that first race? It looked like you guys had fun out there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, without looking at the format, I don't know how many laps we're running. If we're doing 15 again, I'm going to save a lot earlier instead of being wide open for 4 laps to start it off. I think I was the only driver out there to run out of fuel at the end, so that's something to learn for sure.
Now, before we let you go, is there any sponsors or shout-outs for your win?
Yeah, Dev Sports Cards, McKinneyville Barbershop, and the whole Neon Racing crew. It's been a fun season, and we're looking forward to getting going for next year. We're gonna bring them home next year for sure.
All right. Well, again, thanks for the interview, and good luck in the All-Star race, Brett.
Yeah,
Good
thank
luck,
you.
Well, there you have it. That was the All-Star Open. Congrats to Brett Myrtle and Joe Wright for advancing to the All-Star race. Stay tuned. Do not go away because the All-Star race coverage will be beginning in just a few minutes. So just stay tuned. I'm Atlee Atman Weiss on behalf of the entire Intensity Broadcasting team. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a couple minutes.